gonna wait another 2 minutes so everybody has time to dial in, and then we're gonna start. Yeah. Yep. Good. Perfect. So who else is here? Let's see. Who do we have? Serge, we got from Yvonne is here. Welcome. Auntie from Greece. Hello. It's great to have you. Special hello. Wonderful. And Thomas is here from Pure Luxury. Hello, Thomas. That's good. Tom, hey. Ursula as well. Lots of familiar faces. And I got my assistant, Charlotte, my wonderful lady here, Charlotte, she's our social media manager, and she actually created this dice. Yeah, why do you want to say hello? Hey.
Hello.
She is.
Hello, how are you?
Give me the dice.
I'm fine, thank you.
The dice, Wilfried.
The dice. Oh.
The dice, yeah. She made especially for kicking this off because it's called the Game Changer, a dice.
Hey.
So we got the motto kicked off, but we know what we're doing in our games, right? It's not, that's for sure.
We're rolling for good luck.
Definitely. Hey, Sayu. Hey, it's good to see you.
Sayo.
Sayo is based in Munich from Aqua Expedition. She is running the show here in the German-speaking market. It's good to have you here with us as well. Isn't it nice to see your boss, Sayu?
It's very nice to see Sayo as well, at least hear her. And yes, as you can see, we've got Sayo in Munich to oversee all German-speaking Europe, which is very important for us.
Absolutely. Great. So it's time to start. And while everybody else is flying in, hi from London, Hurlingham Travel, Anna, welcome here. Everybody, ooh, great. So now we're gonna start, guys, because we know that time is valuable, and it's a great pleasure to welcome Francesco today. Why are we doing this? You know, we had the Loop Faces series last year, 12 of them, where we have gone through a roller coaster together, and we've been sharing our emotions in these talks throughout. And this year, I want to kick off additionally Loop Faces with a new series called The Game Changer. I think what is important is that we all see and learn from others as well, get motivated as well, and you know, talk to leaders that are quite resilient and learn from them how they can dive through this really pandemic and still have a big smile on their face. I think this is important, and it's a really great pleasure and honor to welcome Francesco here today. Welcome, Francesco, first of all.
Thank you, Ashley. Thanks for having me, and nice to see you and all our dear colleagues from Europe. So thanks.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. You have such a sexy product. I have to say, it's really amazing. And before we start, you're based in Singapore, right?
Correct.
So it's 9 p.m., I think?
9:01, and this has been home now for 9 years. As you all know, I'm Italian American, but moved out here 9 years ago to grow our business in Southeast Asia. I'm here with my wife and my youngest daughter. Two of my kids are in college. Well, actually, one's here doing an internship. But yeah, we love Singapore. It's an incredible island state, and we've based our business here to grow in Asia, which is where we see a lot of growth in the coming years.
Right. So how is life in Singapore with Corona and the pandemic at the moment?
Yeah, I think Asia in general has managed COVID just because of the SARS history. They've managed and were able to respond quite quickly. They had that in the back of their mind. So SARS was something that made them be ready for such a pandemic, in many ways more so than Europe and the US, because they hadn't experienced something like this. So I quickly learned that they were able to implement measures relatively quickly in many countries. Vietnam's with 92 million people, Vietnam's hardly had any cases, and I have an operation there. Singapore, obviously, it's a very manageable state. There's only one bridge that leads out to Malaysia, so it is an island at the end of the day with 5 million inhabitants. But it's also a society that also respects rule of law very much so. And whilst it is, you know, it's an incredible island, it offers everything. We did have our fair share of our lockdowns. They decided to call it circuit breaker. But it's still a lockdown, but with different measures, everybody responded to the best of their ability. And today we're a full open, let's say, economy, except within the economy, obviously travel not so much. You can leave, but just coming back requires similar restrictions as other countries. And we're making the best of it. So the weather is nice. We're not having any of the heavy snowstorms that you're having in Europe or even in the US.
Mm.
And I'm a very active person, so I like to be outdoors, and I was outdoors as much, and I take as many calls outdoors as possible. So we love it here. It's a great country, and it's been very good to us.
That's a good. That sounds wonderful. I think we all listening here very with open eyes here in our lockdown. We are trying to imagine how it is to do calls outside freely, etc. But we'll get there. So that's really, really
We
cool.
will, we will.
Absolutely, we'll get there. Now, Francesco, you have a really special niche here with your beautiful expedition ships, and I was wondering, my God, what a different way of business to do. I mean, if I understand right, it takes you 1 year at least to find a new location. It takes you about 3 years to build a ship, expedition ship, because you're doing it all personally, everything, the entire design, the materials, and by the time it really kicks off, it's a real um, job to do, and it's also a risk because you're opening up in different destinations in Asia that are, you never know what's going to happen. So let me just give a really brief introduction, and then of course, I would like to hear from you about your ship before we go into deep about, about business and how we can handle this and what we can learn from each other. Now, you started Aqua Expeditions 13 years ago, and your mission was always small ship expeditions, to small expedition ships to really very distant parts of this world. You started in Peru with your first luxury cruise in the Amazon River. Then you moved on to launch Aqua Mekong on the historic Mekong River, amazing. And then you followed in 2019 with the launch of Aqua Blue, which explores the forgotten islands of the East Indonesian archipelago. Wow, that's fantastic. Some places where people haven't been. And now you have a new one coming up, I think, Aquanera, which is going to be in the Amazon as well. And you created that during the pandemic, and that was really challenging. Now, tell us, please. So, how did you are not from the tourism industry originally, but it's your passion. I mean, I can feel this and see this in many interviews that you have done. And I think if we do something with passion, you get up in the morning and nothing can hold you back. And I think this is everybody who is listening here today is definitely one of these passionate people in the tourism industry, because otherwise we wouldn't be here. And so you are super passionate. So what is your motivation behind creating Aqua Expeditions, and what is driving you, and how did you come along for it? Yeah, and give us an overview about the destinations, please. Yeah.
Gladly, gladly. So I'll try to sum up in the time we have a little bit of all those touch points and give some structure to it. But obviously, yes, my background, except for starting Aqua Expeditions, prior to that, I was 7 years running a business in the Galapagos Islands, which wasn't mine, but that's how I fell in love with the small ship expedition cruising, and obviously the high-end segment, which is the one that I think I felt we could add value to. And that cut my teeth into tourism in Ecuador and the Galapagos Islands. I decided to start Aqua Expeditions in 2007, and yes, you're right. We're blessed to be in this industry because we're blessed with people that love what they do. They do it because they're amazing at it. And everybody on the call today and everybody else that we interact with on a global basis are just incredible individuals. And whilst there isn't a huge momentum for a career in travel and tourism, we kind of all fall into it. A lot of you are ex-lawyers, bankers, and somehow you quickly realize that you were cut out for doing this sort of space in travel and tourism. You do it amazingly well. And I'm privileged to have an incredible group of my friends are now all in the industry. But yes, these are passions, labors of love. So from choosing a destination to designing the ships, and whilst it may seem to be a solo job, by no means do I take all the credit today. We're a group of 200 individuals, staff all over the world, from Peru, Iquitos, Lima, Phnom Penh, Ho Chi Minh, Singapore, and Bali. Wow. And then global sales teams like you saw, Sayo in Europe, and we've got people in the US and the Americas. It is a But these projects take a lot of undertaking from designing. I think the biggest challenge today is the legal complexities of building in these remote destinations, because building requires legal flagging permits, importation permits, ownership permits. And so you're operating in what's called fresh waterways, and it's very difficult to do that abiding by all the regulations of each country. It took me literally over a year and a half just to formally import Aqua Blue, legally flag her, and make her registered vessel in Indonesia. So I think what drives me is passion and perseverance. I sum it up as a word called grit, which is exactly that, passion and perseverance. If we're all passionate about what we do, but we persevere, I think in the end, that's what really sets us apart. And I think that's kind of my key driver. Beyond loving the industry, I always try to break the norm. I would like to say that I'm a disruptor in the space, and even though it's a very niche space, and I don't claim to be the first in any of our destinations, I think there's incredible other operators where we are proud to call as our colleagues. But we've carved out a nice little space for us in the Peruvian Amazon, in the Indonesian archipelago of Indonesia, of Eastern Indonesia, and on the Mekong. So these boats take a lot of time. They're 1 year to build, 1 year to design, 1 year to build, and 1 year to launch. And those three, we happened to be caught halfway through one in the pandemic, and that really tested my resolve, mine and my team's resolve. And that was an entire separate chapter. But I can tell you about that when we hit the Aquanera story, and I'll tell you
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. Wow. I mean, this sounds so complex. It's amazing. I mean, you started everything from scratch, and this shows everyone here everything is possible. If you just really want to do it, it's possible. Talking about resilience. I think resilience, the word has become a real new meaning for all of us. We, of course, things happen in our life which are tragic, but this is a completely new resilience here in the pandemic for all of us, because it's challenging us so dramatically. Entrepreneurs like us, like you, like me, like many in here, plus also our teams or the teams in general. So as a successful entrepreneur, where do you take your energy from? And what kind of advice can you give us all together here in terms of resilience? What kind of tips do you have? How do you do it to stay happy?
Yeah, I don't think anybody knew that this was coming, so I can't say that we were by any means readily prepared. Were we well equipped with the right technology, with the right software, with the right financials in order to weather the storm to the best of our ability? I think we were reasonably prepared. I don't think anybody could say anything beyond that. Did we do our best effort? Yes, we did our best effort. I think the biggest support system is my family, my wife, and my kids, and my partners. I have an incredible family that believes in the business and grew up around the boats, and that we've created this family of 200 individuals around the world that kind of also feel part of what we've built, because they've seen it develop. And basically the entire team that started with me in 2007 has seen the company grow in the last 14 years. Most of them are still with me, and the other ones have just come into it as we grew. So I have an incredible support system, both personal and professionally. I have incredible understanding and supporting partners that obviously have allowed us to fund the business. But also it's about my appetite for risk is relatively healthy. So I find a right balance. It requires a risk profile in order to enter this business, because you're going into challenging destinations where I don't have a rule book where I can sit here and copy. So I have an ability to visualize very well what I want and how I want to achieve it. And I think it's always been my strength that I can visualize very well how I want the ships to look like, what I expect the guest experience to be like, and nothing gets implemented as a guest experience unless myself or my wife test it personally. No itinerary gets vetted, no itinerary gets approved, nothing. And I think as long as we haven't lost that hands-on approach, that's been our strength, because we've never bitten off more than we can chew. So we've always taken easy steps in growing, consistently growing, especially now as I double down and commit my investment to the Peruvian Amazon with the launch of the Aquanera, that I could easily suspend it. I was caught a third of the way in building, COVID hit, I could have suspended, but I decided to double down and finish and build it and deliver it. And that shows my commitment to the destination, to the sector, to my team, to my staff, and to my partners. So it's perseverance really, and just believing what you're doing. And I know that this is an industry that, like a coil, has been coiled back. And the minute these restrictions just get lifted, we know that the pent up demand is there and we're noticing it. We've seen it in January and February, not as much as we'd all like. Okay. It's not exactly what we'd all hoped, but it's definitely there and it's coming back.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I mean, your last ship that is gonna start and be launched in summer of this year, I think you couldn't be there to build it. Normally, you're there live, you're building, and then I think I read in an interview you built most of it on Zoom with the. That's amazing. I mean,
yeah, it was very challenging, luckily, but that again is a confirmation of an incredible team we've built over the years to entrust me to say, I'll let somebody else oversee day-to-day operations in the yard. So the ships are built in remote destinations because they're flat bottom river cruisers. So they're not seaworthy boats. Remember, my Amazon boat had to be built in Iquitos. Iquitos is the biggest city in the world disconnected by roads. There's no roads lead to Iquitos. It's the furthest inland seaport of the world. It's 2,000 nautical miles upriver from Brazil. So we had to build in Iquitos, the area Amazon. And I built it and I was living there. But now when I moved to Asia and I built Aqua, I was happy with the yard in Vietnam. So I decided to build the Aquanera in Vietnam. Now that ship cannot go across the oceans to get to Brazil and only way to get up to Iquitos. So I had to physically transport her onto a heavy lift cargo. It was actually the HMS Bremen, it's called. It's a German transport company. And there's only 7 of them in the world that could transport a vessel like this. It picked it up in Ho Chi Minh. I couldn't be late. If I was late, there were $50,000, $20,000 a day fees of penalties for every day I was late. I was on time. And I picked her up, navigated 35 days to Brazil, put her in the water, sent crew from Peru, which was in a full lockdown, got special permissions from the embassies of Brazil and Peru and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, get everybody sent to Brazil, to Belém, put 20 crew on the boat and navigate her upriver, the entire voyage of basically most of the Amazon River. It took us just over 2 weeks upriver, and then delivered it to Iquitos. So that whole voyage, I wasn't able to be there. And we had documented, we'll be streaming a nice video in the coming weeks of that whole journey of picking her up, transporting her. But yeah, launching her, I had to launch her in the water via Zoom. I had to have the yard in Vietnam went into lockdown for 2 weeks. Vietnam only went 2 weeks lockdown all last year, that's it. And what they did, because it was a military yard, they called all my contractors, put them inside the yard, closed the yard, had full dormitories for them, and they never stopped building. And they continued building. I didn't have 1 day of downtime entire COVID. But that was a huge financial commitment on our behalf. But that's how much I believe in the business and the industry and the sector. And I think that's the same faith we should all have, because trust me, everybody wants to get small ships.
Oh my God, that must be love for this boat, for sure. Amazing story. Oh, I can't wait to see that. I mean, I can, by the way, recommend everybody to go on the website of Aqua Expeditions and see the videos of these beautiful ships and the destinations that they are sailing through. I really wanted to talk with you because I just fell in love. I mean, this is so amazing, this product. And that already brings me to the next question, Francesco. The luxury travel of the future. Obviously, you were in trend before pandemic already, but how do you think? I mean, you tick a lot of boxes, privacy, etc. already. But how do you think the luxury traveler will be changing? Will he be changing after the pandemic? How is that? What do you think is going to happen? I mean, it's a very, very good open question.
Yeah.
But
By no means do I claim to have the solution to any of all the issues that we're all dealing with, and everybody's had to go through incredible hardships this year. Everybody, including the sacrifices we've all had to take, my staff, everybody's had to take sacrifices. However, we've done it because we believe in what we're doing. All of us in the industry believe you are doing this for the right reasons. But I think the biggest aspect that we're noticing, and we're definitely noticing more so, is private charters, so private buyouts. We already were going to nature wildlife destinations that are isolated and remote. So this whole idea of staying away from these mass tourism sites, we were never there anyways. So we were always in small ships. Our ships are never bigger than 20 cabins. We're between 15 and 20. So that's a nice sweet spot. Our grouped excursions, everything we do is in no bigger than 4 couples to a guide. So when they say, okay, we need to do everything in small groups, already our guides were taking 4 couples into excursions in the Amazon, the Mekong, or Indonesia. So that again was, so we were luckily enough, knock on wood, and blessed to have been in that sector. However, I feel for everybody in every sector, and we've definitely felt it. There's no way around it. Wildlife destination, nature, isolated sanctuaries, what I call these isolated sanctuaries of Raja Ampat, of the Amazon, of the Upper Mekong, staying, using the vessel as your floating base camp, so you don't have to hop around in different hotels and different stays. So longer stays where, typically, ideally, we're looking at 4 to 7 nights. Now we're seeing more 7-night bookings. So all these trends, I think we've all heard them, and they're true. They're seeing, January was a good month for us, considering last year was awful. January was good, nowhere as much as I'd like it to be, but it's definitely moving. We were able to retain about 70% of our bookings globally, so we lost 30%, and we moved 70% over to 2021 and 2022. Most of them second half of this year. So the Aqua Blue's luckily been operating. We just finished the charter. Aqua Mekong, no, Aqua Mekong's dormant probably until about September if we're lucky. I think we've confirmed our first departure for September, and Aquanera starts in. We've had a charter a month ago on the Amazon on Aria, and Aquanera is due to launch June 11th as an inaugural voyage that I'll be hosting in Peru. Knock on wood.
So that looks pretty good at the moment, at least.
You have to be hopeful. I'm a positive guy.
Yeah.
I think I'm a realistic as well. So I'm realistic of the implications of travel today, that it's not easy, but we have to have something to hold on to. And then there's an understanding amongst all our clients, all our trade partners, all our trade partners have been extremely understanding. And we've all been very, these are long-term relationships I've built over the last 15 years. And I want to keep those and make them stronger than ever.
Absolutely. That sounds amazing. Yeah, I mean, my last question is, it's difficult because you have such a lot of beautiful ships and destinations. And so my wish was to take out Aqua Blue because I don't know, I was my personal wish. And just please tell us what we can experience there. It's going through the Eastern Indonesian archipelago and words like, or destinations like Komodo National Park. I mean, that's amazing. I mean, everybody wants to see Komodo Spice Islands and the Raja Ampat. So if we a day on the ship, how does that work and what can we experience? Take us away in our dreams, please, because we need it, and it's a wonderful, wonderful thing to do. Thank you.
It is. Obviously, Aqua Blue is my newest baby, actually in Aquanera this summer, but Aqua Blue is the one we're super excited about. So everybody knew Aqua Expeditions as a river cruise operator and expedition ships. But obviously my background was actually coastal cruising. So when I decided to, our client base, as long as we guarantee them, world-class dining, world-class excursions, world-class accommodation, all in this kind of vision, mission of ours, and we're true to that, and we respect that, and we protect the brand, I can grow the business in coastal cruises as well. Komodo National Park, Eastern Indonesia, I went there, I did four scouting trips. It's an incredible island nation of 17,000 islands, either in high tide or low tide, 18,000 islands in low tide. And most people don't know that it's 4-hour time zones. So it's, from Eastern Indonesia to Western Indonesia, it's about 4-hour flights. It's 3 time zones. Obviously, Bali, everybody thinks of Indonesia, think of Bali and Borobudur. But out of 17,000 islands, there's an incredible opportunity to explore. And it's a country where I believe today you can still be an explorer. Okay, exactly. So beyond Bali and Komodo, which there's incredible great Finisi schooners, these traditional boats. They're wooden, but they're very beautiful. They're usually private buyouts. We wanted to bring a global explorer yacht. She is the first global explorer expedition vessel based permanently in Indonesia that's available for charters and FIT. So our business is mostly cabins. We do charters, great, but be able to do this part of the world by cabins is incredible. Bali to Komodo is one itinerary, 6 months of the year, April to September, swimming with whale sharks, hiking the Komodo National Parks and seeing the dragons, but also the dragon is a half-day excursion with a 7-night expedition. So it's not only the highlight, it's seeing that part of the world. And then we follow the Ring of Fire, which is the highest active volcano area of the world. And we go to the Spice Islands. The Spice Islands is like going into a living museum. I was there in Banda Neira. It's in the middle of the Banda Sea, about depths of about 7,000 meters. And you have this island of 7 Dutch forts with steel cannons on the side of the road left there by the Dutch when they wanted to control the nutmeg, mace, and cinnamon routes of the world. We explore the Banda Islands, all of those, and then we finish the season for 3 months in Raja Ampat in West Papua to see the famous birds of paradise, freshwater blue rivers, and obviously Wayag, the island group of islands, which is in the north of West Papua. So it's an incredible part of the world with the comfort of a 62 meter global explorer yacht. If you look at our Instagram today, this evening, we just hosted 15 to 20 press in Bali, a press event. You can see it, it was just live a few minutes ago. Cool. And tomorrow we have another event. So it's an incredible part of the world, and it's so easy to just get to Bali and then get on the boat every Saturday night when we operate 7-night expeditions any time of the year.
My gosh. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I think everybody is as impressed as I am to hear that. It's so lovely to hear this because the world is going up, and this special destination. We have a question here. How many guest staterooms are on this vessel?
So the Aqua Blue has 12 suites and 3 twins. So a total of 30 guests. She used to be a British Royal research vessel that I bought from an Italian family in Genoa, navigator from Genoa to Singapore, 37,000 nautical miles as well. That navigator on its own, spent 4 months in Singapore last year and launched there last year in Indonesia. And it's an incredible part of the world. Obviously, we're a leisure explorer vessel with a diving component. So you can dive. I'm not a diver. It's an incredible snorkeling destination, and really for all age groups.
Wow, thank you so much. You did an amazing job bringing Aqua Expeditions across, but also your philosophy, your strength, your passion, your leadership, and I think this is so important for us. And we are actually at the end of our talk. We said we do it short and sweet, but very, very passionate and effective. This is what we want to do. And if anybody has any questions, we posted Francesco's email address here. If you didn't catch it, just ask me and I'll forward it to the team, to Sario and to Francesco. In any case, if you need inspiration, you can also call him. And we got a comment here, what Francesco is doing is simply amazing, which is wonderful. You guys are amazing listening in here, taking the time for that, sending all of you lots of love, and we'll stay tuned in any case, and sometimes we will see each other soon. And at Loop, your Aqua Expeditions, by the way, is going to be attending Loop. So that's the latest one, you will see them. Thanks, Francesco, sending lots of love.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of the week.
You too.
Thank you again. And thanks for the support,
guys.
everybody.
Bye. Ciao, ciao. Bye.
Bye, Astrid. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, my dear.